18th chapter. Jnanam gneyam parignata trividha karma chodana karanam karma karteti trividha karma sangraha. So here Krishna describes 6 terms. He says 3 motivators of action and 3 constituents of action. Earlier he spoke 5 doers of action. Now he speaks what are the constituents of an action. Second, he says what are the motivators or who are the instigators of an action. Jnanam gneyam parignata. Jnana means knowledge. Knowledge is one motivator of action. When are you motivated to act? If you have some knowledge, okay, about how that activity has to be performed, what is the result of that activity, what are the necessary ingredients that you need to perform that activity. Some knowledge has to be there. So Jnanam is one motivator of action. Number 2, Gneyam, the object of knowledge. Okay, that is another motivator of action. Parignata, the knower himself, is also one motivator of action. Okay, and constituents of action. Karma, Karanam, Karta. The 3 constituents of action are, number 1, karma, which is work itself. Karanam, the instruments of work. What are they? Senses. Karta, the worker, the doer himself. Fine. So now, this Parignata and Karta seems to be same. Parignata is knower of action, the person. Karta is worker or the doer of action. But as Parignata, as a person who has knowledge, he is a motivator of action. As the Karta, the person who is hands-on doing the work, he is the doer of action. He is a constituent of action. So to summarize all these 6 elements, we have this purport point. So you can see Bhagavad Gita SUBODHINI, where I just combined the understanding from Prabhupada, Cakravarti and Baladeva, Vidyabhushan, and then wrote one sentence there. An action is motivated by the knower, who is Parignata, who has knowledge, Jnanam, of the knowable, Gneyam. In other words, an activity is motivated by a person, the knower, perceiving a desirable object or goal. With such inspiration or impetus, the doer, the Karta, carries out the work, karma, with the senses, Karanam. Fine? So this is, so you should have knowledge, okay, and you should know how to perform the work. Then you perform the work with the senses. Fine? And you are, while you are performing the work, you are called the doer. You are the knower also, you are the doer also. So these are some more intellectual, angles. So now, you see, even the motivators of action, even the 3 motivators of action and the constituents of action are under the dictates of material modes. This Karanam, Karta, Parignata, Jnanam, all these are under the material modes because the material action is being performed. Krishna will now describe the effects of the 3 modes of nature as he did in 14th chapter and 17th chapter. So he begins with how the modes will affect these 3 of the 6 factors of action, which he mentioned in the 18th sloka. Now, the 3 constituents of action are work, instruments of work, and worker. Karanam, Karma, Karta. And Jnanam, Gneyam, Parignata are the 3 motivators of action. Now Krishna will describe what is Jnanam in 3 modes. Next, what is work, karma in 3 modes. Next, what is who is worker in 3 modes? Karta. Karma, Karta, Jnana. So these 3 things he will describe in 3 modes. 19th sloka. Jnanam karma cha karta cha Tridhaiva gunabhedatah Procyate gunasankhyaane Yathavat shrunutanyapi Jnanam karma cha karta cha. Jnanam is knowledge, karma is work, karta is worker. Fine. According to the three modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, three kinds of work, three kinds of worker. So now hear this from me, Krishna says. Srunutani api, Krishna says. 20th shloka. 20, 21, 22. In these three shlokas, Krishna describes Jnana in three modes. 20. सर्वभूतेषु येनैकं भावम् अव्यक्तमीक्षते अविभक्तं विभक्तेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि सात्विकं सर्वभूतेषु येनैकं भावम् अव्ययम् ईक्षते. Okay. See, Jnana in mode of goodness is mentioned in this shloka. In goodness, what is Jnana? Is that Jnana by which an individual, one undivided spiritual nature, the spirit soul, is seen in all living beings, though they exist in innumerable forms like demigod, human being, animal, bird, beast, aquatic, etc. etc. Simple. When is your knowledge set to be in mode of goodness? When you are able to perceive the presence of spirit soul within all the bodies, within the bodies of all types of living entities, whether human species or non-human species, or demigods or aquatics or animals or birds, whoever. One spiritual nature is present within the material bodies of everyone. Fine. So, perception or an understanding of the presence of soul within the body is having the knowledge of soul within the body is knowledge in mode of goodness. Okay? 21st shloka. पृथक्त्वेन तु यज्ञानं नाना भावान् पृथक् विधान् वेत्ति सर्वेषु भूतेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि राजसम्. So Jnana in passion. He spoke about Jnana in goodness. What is Jnana in goodness? Knowledge in goodness is to be able to see the presence of spirit soul within all the material bodies. In simplified terms, that is knowledge in goodness. Knowledge in passion is that by which one sees that there is a different type of living entity in different types of bodies. Now, presence of a living entity means spirit soul within one body is in goodness, but in that understanding, as I mentioned some time back, very briefly, one spiritual nature, one undivided spiritual nature is present. Means the nature of the living entity in this body and the nature of living entity in this body and in this body, they are all same. Sachidananda, eternal, fragmental parts of the Lord. Fine. I mean, Mamaivamsho Jivaloke, they are all amshas of Krishna. So thus, within all bodies, similar type of soul is there. But the person who has knowledge in mode of passion, he will perceive that the living entity in this body is different, the living entity in that body is different. He is bad, he is good, there is discrimination. Somebody who is elevated to mode of goodness, he will be able to see the similarity between all the living entities. Just like you know that shloka, Vidyabhushan sampanne brahmane gavihastini. Although bodily differences are there, on soul platform there is no differences. But when you see differences in body and when you attribute such differences to the souls also, then that is in passion. Of course, every soul has a unique activity, every soul has a unique relationship with the Lord, but the essential nature of every soul is same, spiritual in nature. Fine. So, there are different opinions about soul. Some say the body is the soul, some say the soul is different from the body, but the same size as the body. And the soul is just momentary knowledge, some people say. And some other people say the soul is God. Some say the soul consists of eternal knowledge. And some say the soul is different from the body, is a conscious, all-pervasive entity giving shelter to different qualities and so on. So like that there are different interpretations of the soul in mode of passion. In passion, when the knowledge is in passion, then people will not understand that all souls are similar in nature. they will see differences. What about knowledge in ignorance? Passion itself seems to be very perverted and very, it's not appealing. What about knowledge in ignorance? Krishna says, 22nd shloka. Yattu kritsna vadekasmin karye saktam ahaitukam atatvartha vadalpam cha tattamasam udahritam. That knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in mode of darkness. So knowledge in mode of ignorance is that by which you are attached to one kind of work as everything. There is no discussion about soul there. You are doing one work, this work is my life and soul. What about soul? Soul? What soul? My work is my soul. Okay. What I am doing is all in all. This is what I am going to do forever. So there is no knowledge about the spirit soul there. So in mode of ignorance, there is no knowledge of truth. There is only action on bodily platform, and you have knowledge of how to perform that activity, and you think that that activity is everything to you. But in passion, you will also understand that there is a living entity inside the body. But the living entities inside different bodies are different. But in mode of goodness, you understand that there is living entity within every body, and all those living entities are of similar nature, spiritual nature. Fine. So summary is, knowledge about the spirit soul beyond this body is in Sattva Guna, and knowledge producing many theories by dint of mundane logic and speculation is product of Rajoguna, and the knowledge concerned with only keeping body comfortable, that is knowledge in Tamoguna. Fine. In Tamoguna, you have no knowledge about soul, and in Sattva-guna, you have proper knowledge about soul, and in Rajoguna, you have a perverted knowledge about soul, concocted knowledge, speculated knowledge. Okay. Then 23rd, 24th and 25th slokas describe work in three modes. Fine. So one is knowledge in three modes that we have seen in the last three slokas. Now we will see work in three modes. 23rd. Niyatam sangarahitam araga dveshatah kritam afala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. So you can chase them. Then niyatam sangarahitam araga dveshatah kritam. So now karma in mode of goodness is regulated, niyatam. Niyatam means regulated action. Then sangarahitam, that karma is performed without any attachment. Then araga dvesha, without any raga or dvesha. What is raga? Attachment, liking. Dvesha means hatred or dislike. So without any hatred or without any like or dislike, you perform that action. Then afala prepsuna, you are not expecting any results of that activity. You are doing with detachment, right? So when you perform work in this mode, then you are said to be, your work is said to be in mode of goodness. Clear? Then what is work in mode of passion? Krishna says in 24th sloka. Yattu kamepsu na karma sahankarena va punah kriyate bahulayasam tadraja samudahritam yattu kamepsu na karma sa ahankarena va punah. So when you are doing your activity with ahankara, false ego, then your activity is in mode of passion. Then bahulayasam, you are doing with great labor. You are working so hard. The hard work is nice, but it has to be balanced hard work. Then kama ipsuna, if you are doing just to gratify your senses, You are working so hard to gratify your senses. Your ultimate intention in performing an activity is sense gratification, sense enjoyment only. And you are doing it with ahankara. That is action in mode of passion. And what is action in mode of ignorance? 25th sloka says. Anubandham kshayam himsam anapekshya cha paurusham mohat arabhyate karma yattattama samuchyate anubandham kshayam himsam. So anubandha means that which leads to bondage. Whose bondage? Bondage by Yamadutas. The activity that leads you to bondage or the pasha of Yamadutas is in mode of ignorance. Then kshayam, destructive action. Himsam, very violent action, that which is harmful to others. Anapeksha, without considering the consequences. Then mohat, which is done in illusion, disregarding scriptures. So these are all activities in mode of ignorance. Fine? So activities in goodness, passion and ignorance we have discussed. Next is worker or the person who is acting. So in mode of in three modes that we will see. 26, 27, 28. 26. Mukta sango naham vadi dhrityutsaha samanvitaha siddhya siddhyor nirvikaraha karta satvika uchyate mukta sango anaham vadi. Mukta sangha means one who is detached. Anaham, there is no aham, there is no false ego. A doer who is freed from attachment and who has no false ego. Dhriti, who is determined. Utsaha, who is very enthusiastic. And nirvikaraha, unwavering in success or failure. Such a person is in goodness. He is working in goodness. Right? Worker in goodness. Next, worker in passion. 27th sloka. Ragi karma phala prepsur lubdho himsatmako shuchihim harsha sokanvitaha karta rajasaha parikirtitaha. Now Krishna describes worker in mode of passion. So he is ragi. Ragi means not that what you drink. Here ragi means one who has raga. What is raga? Attachment. So if you are working with attachment to the work, then you are in passion. He has desire to enjoy results. He is very greedy. Himsatmaka, he is envious also. He causes harm to others. Impure, ashuchihi. Then harsha sokanvitaha. And he is sure to be subjected to joy and sorrow. If your work is in this style, then you are a worker in mode of passion. Next, what about worker in mode of ignorance? So many qualities. 28th sloka. Ayuktaha prakritaha stabdhaha shatho naishkritiko lasaha vishadi dirgha surtricha karta tamasa uchyate. Ayuktaha prakritaha stabdhaha. Ayukta means one who is against scriptures. Prakrita, very materialistic and whimsical. Stabdha, very stubborn, obstinate. Shatha, cheating person. Then Naishkritikaha, he is expert in insulting others. Lazy, alasaha. Vishadi, morose. Then Dirghasutri means postponing things, procrastination. He is constantly postponing things. Today he has to do and he will keep it for next 3 days. What can be done in half an hour, he will drag on for 10 hours. So this is all worker in ignorance. Okay. Next, to remember all these things is difficult, but we can see how many personality traits are there within us. What kind of work we are doing, what kind of knowledge do we have, how are we working. If you have observed this, sometimes we will see that some of the mode of goodness qualities are there in us. Some passion qualities are also there, some ignorance qualities are there. That means we are switching between modes. A person may be predominantly in some mode, but he cannot, generally a person will not be in one mode constantly. He is influenced by different modes. The time also influences. Oh, today I feel very lazy. Today I feel very enthusiastic and active. Fine. So it also depends on time. Early morning, sometimes people may feel lazy. Or some people are very active in the morning. By the time it becomes evening, they become really tired. So you can understand. So 29th sloka. बुद्धेर भेदम धृतेश्चैव गुणतस्त्रिविधं शृणु प्रोच्यमानम् अशेषेण पृथक्त्वेन धनञ्जय oh conqueror of wealth, winner of wealth. Now please listen as I tell you in detail the different kinds of understanding, determination according to three modes. Okay. So now Krishna will describe dhriti and buddhi. Two things in three modes. 30th sloka. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha karya karye bhaya bhaye bandham moksham cha ya vetti buddhi sa partha sattviki. So what is buddhi in sattva guna? So pravrittim cha nivrittim cha. If your intelligence is in mode of goodness, you will understand what is to be done, what is not to be done. You know what is pravritti, you know what is nivritti. Karya, akarye. Okay, what is good activity, what is bad activity. Bhaya, abhaye. What is to be feared, what is not to be feared. Everything you will understand. What is bandham cha, what is moksham cha. What is binding you, what is liberating you. You have proper discrimination. So an effect of intelligence is discrimination. So buddhi, if your buddhi is in goodness, then you will have the right discrimination. What is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is appropriate, what is inappropriate. Okay. Next, 31st sloka. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam cha karyameva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhissa partharajasi. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha. What is dharma? What is adharma? You don't know. Right? If you cannot distinguish between dharma and adharma, religion and irreligion, and karya akarya, what is to be done, what is not to be done, then your buddhi is in passion. You have the right discrimination, then your buddhi is in goodness. If you don't have the right discrimination, your buddhi in passion. Fine. Now, in passion only, you don't know what is right, what is wrong. Then what will happen to a person whose intelligence is in mode of ignorance? Krishna will reveal. Basically, it is opposite. Okay. He considers bad to be good and good to be bad. Opposite. Let's see. 32nd sloka. 32nd? Okay. So in SUBODHINI, there is a mistake, numbering mistake. 30, 31, 32, na? So in that column, just 27 and 28 just came up. So you can just correct it. 32nd. Adharmam dharmam itiyam manyate tamasavrita sarvarthan vipratimascha viparitamscha buddhissa parthatamasi. Adharmam dharmam iti. You consider adharma to be dharma, dharma to be adharma, and you take everything in opposite direction of truth. Okay, then that is mode of buddhi in mode of ignorance. Right? So next, dhriti, determination in mode of passion, ignorance and goodness. We will see now. 33rd sloka. धृत्यायया धारयते
धृत्यायया धारयते
मनः प्राणेन्द्रियक्रियाः योगेन व्यभिचारिण्या धृतिः सा पार्थ सात्विकी धृति means determination. What is dhriti in goodness? Krishna says it is unshakable, it sustains. Dharayate, dhriti yaya dharayate manah prana indriya kriyaha. It is sustained by yoga practice and it controls the activities of mana, prana and indriya, mind, life and senses. So your determination sustains and streamlines the activities of your mind, life and senses. That is determination in mode of goodness. Next, determination in mode of passion. Yaya tu dharma kamarthan dhritya dharayate arjuna prasangena falakankshi dhritissa partharajasi. So falakankshi, a person whose determination is in mode of passion, he will always desire the fruits of action. He is falakankshi. In religion, in whatever he does, whether it is dharma, artha, kama, moksha, whatever may be, moksha is not mentioned here. Dharma, artha and kama only unmentioned. So dharma, artha, kama, dharma, kama, arthan. That's what Krishna says. So in all these activities of dharma, artha, kama, of religion, economic development and sense gratification, whatever he does with a determination to attain the result of that activity. He is so attached to the result. That kind of determination is dhriti, in passion. It's in passion. Then what about passion? What about dhriti in ignorance? 35th sloka. Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madamevacha navimunchati durmedham dhritissa parthatamasi. Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam. So one cannot go beyond swapnam, dreaming, bhayam, fear, shokam, lamentation, vishadam, moroseness, then madam, illusion. So these are the 5 qualities mentioned. Your determination cannot go beyond this. You want to be determined, but there is some fear blocking you. There is some passion, there is some vishada, moroseness blocking you, and illusion blocking you. Your determination is always constrained by these 5 negative elements. That kind of determination is in determination mode of ignorance, which is practically no determination only. So lack of determination almost. So next. When swapnam is there, dreaming is there, that does not mean a person who is in mode of goodness does not dream. He also dreams, but here the dream means too much of sleep. In the 35th sloka, dream means too much of sleep. He is constantly in inaction. There is no determination only practically. 36th sloka. Sukham tvidanim trividham shrunu me bharatarshapha abhyasad ramate yatra dukkhantam na nigacchati. Sukham tu idanim trividham. Happiness in 3 modes Krishna describes in the next few slokas. 36 and 37 he describes what is happiness in mode of goodness. So happiness in mode of goodness is that which brings joy and destroys your sorrow. And it is like poison in the beginning, but at the end it is like nectar. Fine. So initially you may not be very happy doing something, but at the end you will become happy. Means initially studying for exams is not a very happy experience. But at the end, when you get good rank and when you get good marks and when you get proper seat in the next college, then it's happy. Okay, it's very, it's in a mode of goodness. Of course, some people may write exams in passion also. The point is, initially there is some inconvenience, but later it will become nectar. that is in mode of goodness. Then arises from purity of intelligence and awakens one to self-realization. Ultimately it goes towards spirituality. Okay. 37th sloka is also there. Yadyadagre visham ivam pariname amrutopamam tatsukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. I already discussed this. Yadyad agre visham iva. Agre means in the beginning it is like poison. Pariname amrutopamam. The result is similar to amruta. Amruta upamam means similar to nectar. Tat sukham satvikam proktam. That kind of happiness is happiness in mode of goodness. Atma buddhi prasadajam. And it will also give you atma buddhi, the knowledge of soul. 38th sloka. Vishayendriya samyogat yattadagre amrutopamam pariname visham ivam tatsukham rajasam smritam Vishayendriya samyogat. So that happiness which is born out of contact between Vishaya and Indriya. Vishaya means sense object. Indriya means senses. Samyoga means contact. When you bring your senses in contact with sense objects, there is some happiness that is born out of passion. But in mode of goodness, there is a restriction of that senses. But in passion, there is allowing of the senses in that. Okay. Next, pariname vishamiva yattad agre amrutopamam. In the beginning, it is very nectarian. When you bring your sense in contact with a sense object, it seems like nectar. Wow, why should I be deprived of this happiness? But at the end, it will become distress. It will become poison. For example, you are supposed to restrict your tongue from eating certain items, food items, which are detrimental to your health. Say you have diabetes or some other disease because of which you should not eat too many sweets. But eating sweet is like nectar for you. But if you continue to eat sweets when the doctor told you not to eat, after some time it will become poison. The sweet will become poison. He will restrict your sweet eating forever. If you eat sweet, you will have immediate repercussions on the body. Then you can't eat anymore. Okay, you will have to suffer a lot. But initially, if you restrain that urge to eat sweets, when your health is better, later you can eat in a restricted manner, in a regulated manner. Fine. So that is happiness in mode of passion. What about happiness in mode of ignorance? Yadagre chanubandhe cha sukham mohanamatmanah nidralasya pramadotham tattama samudahritam yadagre anubandhe chanubandhe cha sukham mohamatmanah. So there is delusion from beginning to end. At least in passion, in the beginning there is some happiness, at the end there is some distress. But from beginning to end there is only distress. There is only delusion and illusion. That kind of happiness is in ignorance. Even while drinking that, eating that food item also, you are suffering while eating. You are eating super spicy food. While eating, your eyes are shedding tears. Nayanam galadhashur dharaya, vadanam gadgada ruddhaya gira. And later also, you are continuing to do the same. It's okay, leave it. Next, you are blind to self-realization. And that kind of happiness arises from sleep, laziness. Today I slept for 14 hours. Maja aaya. That is happiness in ignorance. Laziness, illusion, intoxication. People drink wine and they think they are happy. But they are not happy. Okay. But they think they are happy. That is in ignorance. Right? 40th sloka. Natadasti prithivyam va divideveshu va punah sattvam prakriti jair muktam yadebhihi syat tribhurgunaihi. So Krishna gives a summary of all this influence of modes. There is no being existing on the earth or in the heavens who is freed from these three modes of material nature. You were asking, right? Some time back. There is no being in this material world who is beyond the influence of material modes. There may be some Manushyanam Sahasreshu, out of thousands and thousands of millions of people, there could be one person who is like a Jivan Mukta, who is beyond the influence of modes. Otherwise, any average person, any typical person, he is under some mode. If he is very advanced, he may be in mode of goodness predominantly all the way, but he is under the modes only. Okay. So, here Krishna includes all other things that he did not mention so far. Means he described what is dhriti in mode of passion, dhriti in 3 modes, then sukham in 3 modes, karta in 3 modes, karma in 3 modes, buddhi in 3 modes, and earlier foods in 3 modes, yajna in 3 modes, then charity, tapa, everything he has described. And there may be other things also in 3 modes. All these things in this material world are under the influence of 3 modes, and all the people are also influenced by 3 modes. Right? So, amongst all things made of 3 gunas, those who are in mode of goodness should be accepted because they are useful. They are conducive for spiritual realization. But those things which are in mode of ignorance and passion must be rejected. Right? So, thus Krishna concludes this section. Then in the next section, Krishna describes this varnashram, purification by prescribed duties of varnashram. We will discuss in the next session. Thank you. Hare Krishna.